Welcome back, I'm John Hudson. It was the end to New Zealand's longest and most public tug of love. A family court judge ruled that 9-month-old Caitlin Jelicic could return to Wales with her mother. Within hours, they were on a flight out of Auckland before Caitlin's father could prevent his daughter's departure. Up until now, we couldn't report on disputes before the family court. Tonight we can, thanks to a court ruling. We asked the question, is the system fair?
It's been a really tough few months. Really tough. I'm so pleased to be going home.
Diane Jelicic has just learned she's free to return her daughter Caitlin to Wales. Monday's ruling means any further custody hearings will take place in the country of Caitlin's birth.
Oh, wow, look at you.
Caitlin's gone. The bottom just dropped out.
No goodbyes?
No, I haven't got a chance to say goodbye to my daughter.
Jelicic versus Jelicic. It's a case that highlights the problems that can happen when relationships between couples from different countries break down. In this case, the breakdown also involved a child, Caitlin. Both parties spoke openly in the media about their troubles with each other, the law, and their inability to come to an agreement as to how to raise their daughter Caitlin. So, what went wrong? And what lessons are there to be learned from this tragic case?
I cared for her. And I just wanted to make her happy, try and make her happy.
They met on the internet, two lonely hearts, Stephen in Auckland, Diane in Swansea.
We had quirky sense of humour, so it was just the banter going back and forth between us.
Oh, we're teasing you.
Hey?
In 5 years, they've spent roughly equal time in Wales and New Zealand. Diane got pregnant to Stephen in Auckland, then miscarried. They were both depressed. They separated, then decided to give it another try back in Swansea.
For Caitlin to have a two-parent family, we had to go through with the marriage, I guess.
They were married in Swansea in December 2003. It was Stephen's first wedding, Diane's second. But you went through with a marriage to a woman that you weren't in love with?
In the end result, yes. Yeah.
Diane was pregnant when they were married, but within weeks they parted again, only to be reunited just before Caitlin's birth last July.
We wanted a child together, so we had a child together.
And you were happy with that?
Yeah, very happy with that.
Were you happy when Caitlin was born?
Oh, yes.
What does she mean to you?
She means everything. Yeah, she just means everything. She's my world.
With Diane on maternity leave, they returned to Auckland. Caitlin was 2 months old.
We could come to New Zealand and actually get on with building a life for our daughter. You know, a proper life for our daughter, rather than having to live in council flats and have no money and struggle from day to day.
So was Diane aware of that dream, the dream to bring Caitlin back to New Zealand and build a life here?
Well, yeah, that was always the plan. It was a matter of a timing.
It was an exploratory holiday. They had return tickets. This family video shows the life Stephen wanted for his daughter Caitlin, and hopefully Diane's 12-year-old daughter Emily, growing up with the extended family on the Orchard in West Auckland. But what was a happy holiday at first turned into a disaster.
We started arguing and I slapped him 3 times across the face. And he grabbed me across the neck and we continued arguing for a while.
This was a new development in our relationship, her physically hitting me. I'd always told her, don't ever hit me, or that will be it, you know.
What did she say to you after she'd hit you?
We're going home. You're not to come back, and you're not going to see your daughter again.
Do you think that's what set him off with that application to...
Probably.
Did you mean that serious?
No.
So you didn't think to have another conversation with Diane once she'd sobered up and calmed down?
No. No.
The next day, Stephen Jelacic went to a lawyer. He was granted a court order preventing Caitlin from leaving the country. 3 weeks later, Stephen claims Diane assaulted him again. She denies this, but this time the police were involved.
She was just went mad. She was grasping hair, ears. She went berserk.
The police had already been to their home earlier in the evening to calm things down.
Pastor.
When Stephen called a second time, he says they refused to come, suggesting he leave the house.
Once again, I plead with him. I says, you know, I'm going to be leaving at that time about a 5-month-old baby in the hands of a drunk, violent woman. And he just wouldn't come out.
Later that morning, Stephen was examined by a doctor who found facial bruising and a perforated eardrum.
Had you both been drinking?
No, just me.
And the next day he laid a complaint of assault against you.
Yeah, I got a phone call from victim support to say they were going to come and uplift me and the girls from the house.
It's not clear how victim support became involved or why they thought that Diane Jelacic was the victim. We do know that she and her daughters Emily and Caitlin were moved to a women's refuge. She was later charged with assaulting her husband Stephen and released on bail. Stephen Jelacic was able to see his daughter again.
Sweetie.
Well done.
But on Christmas Eve, just as the courts were closing for the holidays, he learned Diane would be able to take Caitlin back to Wales before the assault charge against her was heard.
How did you feel about that?
Gobsmacked. I didn't, gobsmacked. I could not believe it. It certainly put a new spin on what I had always thought about New Zealand and what you were entitled to under New Zealand law and justice. I couldn't believe it.
The court is not giving them a fair say. Stephen did not have a fair say. Of course, mothers have plenty of support with the refuge and the victim support and stuff like that, whereas...
Stephen Jelacic was by now getting advice from Union of Fathers coordinator Jim Bagnall, who reckons some fathers get a rotten deal in the family courts.
In certain cases, there is obviously gender bias. And also there's an agenda within the court, in my opinion, by certain judges and certain solicitors, that fathers will be split from their children.
New Zealand Family Court, from my experience, is a very scary ordeal.
Woohoo! Look out, Dad.
Stephen Jelacic felt helpless. He believed he was up against a system stacked against fathers who want to retain custody of their children. He was desperate and felt his only option to stop his wife leaving with Caitlin was to abduct his own daughter. They came to Port Waikato. He hired a batch, even made a home video. What he didn't know was that he was about to make the news.
Day 9 in hiding for baby Caitlin as police wait for her father to give himself up.
So would you do it all again?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, somebody to just give a damn about Caitlin. And as far as I'm concerned, they didn't up to now. And now they are going to give a damn. And so it's worth it.
Can you understand why Stephen did that?
Yeah. Still makes me angry. Even today, I can't believe that we're actually fighting for custody of our baby. I still think that we should have been together.
Do you still love him?
My mother'd kill me for this, I guess.
Do you love her?
No.
Did you ever love her?
I've tried to love her.
After Stephen abducted Caitlin, Diane Jelacic took her 12-year-old daughter Emily home to Wales, missing a court appearance on the assault charge. She later returned for Caitlin.
This is Stephen Jelicic, at last coming out of hiding.
Stephen Jelicic struck a deal with the police, returning with Caitlin before he was charged with abduction. The High Court ruled he must have a chance to appeal the family court decision, allowing Diane to take Caitlin to Wales. Then, after weeks of court drama, Diane and Stephen decided to try mediation.
You know, we're the only two people that really, you know, can decide our future, and we need to do that together. And with the possibility of me staying in New Zealand.
Well, I think it was the words, the staying in New Zealand was the bit that got me to agree to talking, yeah.
But it was clear it wasn't going to be easy.
We see things so differently.
When we come here, you know, he never sits down and talks to me. It's always, you know, to his family. And I just feel second rate and second best. And I thought me and Caitlin were his family, but apparently we're not. I mean, Caitlin is, but I never have been.
And let's not forget what you said after the assault. I'm going back to Wales as soon as I can. I'm taking Caitlin. You are not coming. Eh? What do you think was going to happen? Good old Stephen, his money can't fix this one.
They came close to a deal, but in the end it all went back to court for a ruling on where the custody battle should be heard. The Hague Convention, which New Zealand signed up to, says that unless there's a very good reason otherwise, custody hearings will be held in the country of the child's habitual residence. And in this case, Caitlin was born in Wales. Her mother, Diane, was on legal aid and represented by a QC. Her father, Stephen, was unemployed and borrowed $40,000 from his parents to pay for a lawyer who argued that Caitlin should stay in New Zealand for 3 reasons. First, that New Zealand was her habitual residence. Second, that her parents had come to a verbal agreement that they would live long-term in New Zealand. And third, that there was a grave danger of physical or psychological harm coming to Caitlin if she was returned to Wales. Well, the judge didn't accept any of that. Stephen Jelicic says there are grounds for appeal, but that would be pointless now Caitlin has gone. Do you feel let down by the legal system?
I've always felt let down by the legal system. The law's been stymied a bit, to be honest, and this has been something Diane's been pretty good at right the way through, of using the law, victim support, place. The sympathy always goes to the woman, and that's what I found. As a guy, you don't start off with a level playing field, you're running uphill to start with.
Are we going to see you back in New Zealand, is it?
I don't think so.
You got one final message for Steve at all?
Not really, no. I don't think there's anything left to say. You finished my crochet for me, eh?
Diane and Caitlin were farewelled just hours after the court decision by the friends who'd helped look after them for 4 months. So once again, Diane left the country with an assault charge pending. A warrant has been issued for her arrest. It's now up to broken-hearted Stephen Jelicic to decide if he'll try in Wales to get his daughter back.
It's a bit like a rock and a hard place, to be honest. It's, I know I can't live here in New Zealand without my daughter. And I've got doubts about whether I can live in Wales with her.
The New Zealand courts deal with about 40 Hague Convention hearings each year.